Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This is your brother Nafis Abu Zayd, here with our esteemed guest, our esteemed brother, Saajid Abu Saajid, graduate of Khora, KSA, here to conduct an interview with us, and my co-host.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Isa Abu Isa.
MashaAllah ta'ala, tabarak wa ta'ala. We're going to ask our beloved brother some list of questions, inshaAllah ta'ala. Hopefully be able to answer us. The first question we want to ask the brother, alhamdulillah, is to give us a little bit of information or background information about yourself, who you are.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashraf al-anbiya wal mursaleen nabiyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. My name is Saajid. My kunya is Abu Saajid. I'm originally from Philadelphia, born and raised. All my schooling is in Philadelphia. What else you want to know? I was born Muslim, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
And
Didn't know that.
I came up in the Wartheen community, which is a lot different. It's a lot different than a lot of other communities. And it's important to know their outlook on things. If you understand the outlook of their community, it'll be a little easier to deal with them as far as dawah is concerned and stuff like that. There's a lot of elders, a lot of older brothers are there. It wasn't really a lot of youth in their masajid like that. So it's important to understand, not just them, other people, to understand their dawah, to understand their community build. It'll be easier to deal with them. Inshallah ta'ala.
Well, what you about to the Dawah to Salafiyya? I mean, how that crossover happened?
Honestly, it was a lot of negative talk about, specifically about Germantown. This was before Mukbil was there, and before Ahl Hadith was there. So really, it was only Germantown at the time, and it was a lot. I'm talking about every person that mentioned Germantown, they had something negative to say. So to me personally, some stuff I couldn't believe. I couldn't believe it. So I went there to see myself. I said, well, maybe it's the stuff they teaching. So I went and sat in a couple classes. This one, that Freaky was the imam. I think he was reading from Qawl al-Mufid. So I sat in a couple classes. It was Quran, Hadith, most of it Tafsir and Kathir. And I didn't see a problem with that. You know, and the masajid that I was praying in at the time, they had all those books. They had the Quran, they had Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, they had Ibn Kathir. So my thing was, what's the problem? They read from the same books. So the more I investigated and looked in, it became like a lot of the problems that we have now. Bad dealings with people who say they go to Germantown Masjid, really. They say they go there. I don't know how often they go there, but if they say they go there and the person has a bad dealing with them, that's it. So the more I looked at it, and the more people I spoke to and asked more questions, it kind of led me to the dawah like that.
Well, could you tell us about some of your educational background?
Here in Philly?
Well, Philly.
I went to private school until 5th grade. Then in 5th grade, I went to Masterman. For middle school to the 8th grade. And then I went to FLC for high school. After high school, I took a break. And came back. And then I went to community and finished the community with, I did secondary education community. So when I finished community, I was planning on going to Temple to finish up. But alhamdulillah, I got accepted to Mecca, so I went there.
So what inspired you to go study knowledge abroad?
Honestly, it was a brother, I think his name is Abdul Jabbar. He used to be up in front of the masjid of Germantown. So he lived in Morocco. But this was before I was thinking about studying. So when I found out he lived in Morocco, he was like the first person I met that, actually lived in a Muslim country. So I said, I'm going to go to Morocco. Just, live with the Muslims. But then one day I was riding down the street and there was a lecture. Ahl Hadith was going to have a lecture. So in the lecture, no, they were setting up for the lecture.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the one up, one of the big ones. So Anwar, it was me and Anwar. So he asked me to take him to the Dawah Center to drop some tapes off. I forget what year this was. This early 2000s, right before Anwar left. So we riding in the car. So Anwar says, you know, he's leaving like next week for Medina. So I'm like, what you going to Medina for? Like, what you going to do in Medina? He said, I'm going to school. I'm like, you going to school? I said, yeah, I'm going to study Islam. I said, mashallah.
That's nice.
I said, you real. Mashallah. You real. You serious. You going all the way over there to learn some Islam?
No.
You know what I'm saying? So I said, man, how you do that? He said, I just applied. So I went online and started looking into it. And I didn't really want to go to Medina. I didn't think Medina was a good fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But I didn't know about Al-Thamaraat at the time. So I kind of like eased up a little bit because they said Medina was only for men. You couldn't take your family and all that kind of stuff. So I said, I can't go nowhere and leave my family. That's like, I can't do that.
Yeah, it's rough.
So I kind of like pumped my brakes and slowed down on it. And I didn't find out till Al-Thamaraat a little later. It wasn't too far later, but it was a little later than that. So he was one of the people to like leave and go. That was like my first thing like that. You can actually leave. People are actually leaving because you don't really find that type of, at that time, you didn't find that type of mentality in the Wharf Dean community. Like people going, leaving to study.
Yeah.
That's like super extra. Nobody's doing all that. You can, you know, Allah knows what's in your heart.
Yeah.
That type of thing. So he was one of the first people that I personally knew that left to go study. And that kind of like put a spark in me like, okay, it's people that I actually know, pray with every day.
Yeah.
And he's leaving to go study. And
So
Anwar
was from the Wharf Dean community?
No, Anwar wasn't from the Wharf Dean, but at the time we were praying up Germantown.
Yeah.
So, you know, we pray on a regular, you know. I know, we, you know, praying every day.
Yeah.
So he was somebody that I personally knew now that was leaving to go study. So it kind of sparked the interest like, man, it's not that far off. I thought you had, at that time, I thought you had to like know something. I thought you had to be half of the Quran. Or, you know, I thought you had to know Arabic already to go study.
Mm-hmm.
So when I knew he was going, I knew, not that he didn't know anything, but I knew him.
Basically start from scratch.
Yeah, you could start from scratch.
Yeah.
So that really put a spark as far as going abroad.
Okay. What are some of the things that you benefited there? So what is your major or the thing that you was the focus of your studying while you was in Mecca?
You mean what college I went to?
Yeah.
I went to Kulliyat al-Qada, which is the simply like the judge program for Saudi. It used to be under Sharia. It was under Sharia, but later on they came and made it its own college. So when it was under Sharia, the difference was the classes are a little smaller, different books, a couple different subjects that Sharia didn't have. Sharia had a couple subjects that Qada didn't have. So we did a lot of fiqh, a lot of usul al-fiqh, qawaid fiqhiyya. And Sharia and Qada share those, but some of the books are different. Ahadith, ahkam, some of the books are different. Arabic language, the books are different. Even though they have the same subjects, the books are different. The focus is a little different. And the classrooms are the class size is a lot smaller. Like you might have
The Qada classes.
The Qada classes are a lot smaller. You might have maybe 15 people in your class. Sharia, you can have 50.
So if you do the Sharia...
Most of the Qada classes are small like that. 15, 20 people, something
Were there
like that.
a lot of Westerns in the Qada program?
No, not really. No, it was only like me, Ali, another brother, Jabril. He was there before us. I think that might have been. It wasn't. Later on, it got a little more popular as time went on, but in the beginning, it wasn't that many because they said it was like a little more difficult than Sharia. It was supposed to be like in Qada was like the top. They say it's the top college as far as Islamic studies. Allah Alam, but that's the word. It's difficult. The teachers are a lot more serious. They don't, it's a little sometimes.
Did you find truth to that?
Yeah.
Was it difficult?
It wasn't difficult. Difficult? It wasn't difficult. It was difficult. Yeah, it wasn't. Some of the stuff was difficult. Some of it was difficult, man. Some of it was difficult.
So, what was like some of your struggles overseas? Like, what did you struggle with, like, in terms of your studies?
In the beginning was real. Alhamdulillah, in the beginning, I felt like I was cruising because I had studied some here.
Okay.
So I had did book 1 with Amar.
Oh, the Medina book.
We was in the same class.
Oh man, come on, man. Don't bring that back up.
Alhamdulillah. I did book 1. I did with Amar. I did the Top Beard book. I did book 2 with him. So I did some stuff with Amar.
When it was in Lindley?
Yeah, when it was in Lindley. So when I got there for the first semester, I was like cruising. Level 2 in the Arabic program, I was still cruising now.
Yeah.
I was still cruising, but I never forget the Sierra book. That was like a big jump. His first level was only maybe 5 classes. Mustafa Thani was like 9 classes. The second level was 9 classes.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big jump. By level 3, like, I just remember one day sitting in class, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? It was a little, because we started Nusus, which was poetry, studying poetry and stuff like that. I don't like poetry in English really. So in Arabic, it was just, it was.
It's something you gotta have a love for.
Yeah, and the teacher, he was new. He wasn't used to teaching people learning Arabic. So that part was rough as far as the subjects. But outside of that, learning Fusha in the Mahad, and then going outside and using Fusha, that was difficult because I go outside to speak Arabic in the stores and they don't understand Arabic. So I thought I was wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why you don't understand? I got 100 on the test. You know, I passed, alhamdulillah, I got passed the test. Teachers, you know, in class I'm doing good. So how come to find out they don't understand Arabic?
They speak slang.
They speak all slang. So now I had to learn the slang in order to communicate outside the classroom, but you can't take that slang in the classroom.
No, yeah.
So you got to learn too. That was a little shaky in the beginning.
It was rough like that. Egypt the same way, man. All right. So, what was the teacher that I guess you benefited the most from, or affected you in the most positive way? I mean, they all had a positive effect, obviously, but who was the one teacher that you can say really affected you the most? Don't hold back on this neither.
The most I gotta shake Abdul Majid, Sabiya.
That's the one that you was able to do a telelink here, right?
Was
yeah,
it?
we was able to ask him a question.
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
I remember Sheikh Abdul Majid.
Sheikh Abdul Majid Sabiya? Yeah.
Yes.
He gave us a lot of time. MashaAllah. And he like, I mean, coming from the type of environment we come from, man, you don't really meet people that carry themselves like the way he carried, mashallah, the way he carried himself. A lot of adab, like his adab, mashallah.
Clear some moments of his adab.
His adab, the way he dealt with us. Like we carried a lot of stuff from America to Saudi with us. Rough, fast, hasty. Mm-hmm. We already know the answer. And he kind of like broke us down and put us in our place nicely. You know what I mean? Y'all still in the beginning. I remember we were maybe 5 years in. 5 years in the study, maybe 6 years. He said, y'all still in the beginning. So don't think because you translate, he said, don't think because you translate a fatwa from Sheikh bin Baz that you know you've reached the level of some high level. You know what I mean?
He put you in your place.
Yeah, he gave us a lot of time. He gave us a lot of time.
What would you say that you learned from? What was something that either a statement of his, action of his, that was very valuable that you came back and took it and brought it back here?
I would say his actions, man. We're rough. We just rough. Here we rough. We don't know how to be gentle with each other. We all the way rough. We can't. There's no in between. It's either you're super soft or you're super rough. And he kind of like showed us, even without talking, he showed us how to balance it out. He showed us how to behave, those ahadith that we already memorized, that everybody knows, smile in your brother's face and sadaqah, and all them little ahadith, those basic ahadith that we know, he really showed us how you implement them. He was probably the biggest because I think I might have spent the most time with him. But Sheikh Wasila, he gave us a lot of time. Sheikh Wasila in the beginning, he was real patient with us, very patient with us. And that was in the early beginning. He gave us a lot of time. In the end, Sheikh Muhammad al-Harbi, he gave us a lot of time. I got a lot of benefit from him. And those sittings that are personal, you get a lot more benefit than a general sitting in the masjid. General, like you got your general classes where ulama in the masjid, and then you got, if you can secure and lock in, you got to box them in. Sometimes you got to box them in. Like, Sheikh, we need this. You know what I'm saying? We really not taking no for an answer. Inshallah, we need classes. If you can get those, inshallah, you're gonna get a lot more benefit, because it becomes personal. Like Sheikh Muhammad Al-Harbi, Allah preserve. We didn't go to his house, except every time we went to his house, he fed us something. Every time. We reading through books, we might go through 4 books or 3. I think we did like 4 or 5 books at a time. But after the 4th book, they said, hold on 1 minute. You leave, go get some tea, go get some dates, go get some snacks, come back. And then we finish like that. So it was small things that we don't generally appreciate that.
Like smiling at one another.
Yeah, simple stuff. Smiling.
Very mean. Yeah.
So did you know Ali Davis before going over, or did you meet him there? Like, how did that relationship develop?
I mean, I know Ali since we met in high school. We didn't go to the same high school, but we met back when we were both in high school. That might have been that was in high school. So at the time when we met, he wasn't Muslim.
Okay.
He wasn't Muslim at the time. I was Muslim, but he wasn't Muslim. So, we worked together. We had a nickname for him and all that. We leave that off. Alhamdulillah. But after we worked together, I didn't see him. Yeah, you can ask him. I didn't see him after that for about maybe 5 or 6 years. I hadn't seen him after we worked together. So the next time I saw him, he was standing in front of Germantown, in front of the masjid. No. I'm sorry. He was in Masjid Muhammad. You know Masjid Muhammad up there?
Pond Street.
Yeah, he was in Masjid Muhammad.
Yeah.
So I saw him in there after like 5 years. I'm like, "Oh, are you Muslim?" He said, "Yeah, alhamdulillah." I'm like, "MashaAllah," because I ain't seen him about 5 years. Then I didn't see him again for maybe about 3 more years. Next time I saw him after 3 years, I saw him in front of Germantown, and we just been in contact ever since.
So when you got accepted to the Qura, he was already accepted at this time.
He was already there. Yeah,
he was already there.
He was there about him and Jamil. They went there about 2 years before I got there.
Okay, so you met both. I mean, you met Jamil when you went over.
I met Jamil here too, in Germantown. Jamil Finch. Yeah. I knew Jamil before he left. I mean, he was one of the people. That's how I think I may have even found out about Al-Qura. Maybe through Jamil. He was leaving. We were in the masjid, so when we left, I dropped him off at his house. So he said he was leaving in a month, almost like Anwar. Same thing. I'm like, "Hey, where you going?" He said, "I'm going to Mecca." I'm like, "Mecca? What you going to Mecca for?" He said, "He going to school." I'm like, "Man, mashallah." So I'm like, how you do it? So he told me the name of the school. I went online. I don't know if I knew about it before him, but he was the first person that I knew that was going. I might have known about the school before, but I knew him and I knew he was getting ready to leave and go. So he was the first person I knew that was going. I didn't know Ali was there until I made Hajj that year, and he showed up at the hotel the day we're leaving to come back. He shows up at the hotel, and I would talk to him every day, but he never told me he was going. So when he came in, I'm like, "What you doing?" He said, "I'm coming from school." I was salty, to say the least.
So in those earlier days, was there any fitna amongst the students? Like I heard you mention how Anwar was leaving. He was happening to be in the car with him, and I knew that it was Jamil Finch. Was it like more like more
it wasn't
love?
like that, was it? Remember them days, man?
Good.
It was all love back then.
It was all love, man. Even when we were there in Mecca, some of us in Mecca, some of them in Medina. Even then, it was still love. We go to Medina, we stay at maybe Anwar's house or somebody else's house, spend the night, up all night, back and forth. That was early. That was early when I was there. They were there longer than me at that time. So I did a lot more listening at that time. I did a lot more listening because everybody was like above. They were past me and stuff. I was still in the language program. They had already, most of them had already started the kulliyah, the college.
Okay.
But we were, those sittings, you couldn't say anything without Dalil. I'm talking about me, Ali, Jamil, Mufti, Anwar, and Abdul Wali would be there sometimes. You couldn't say anything. You couldn't say anything without having Dalil for what you're saying. So, and that's the type of environment we were in. What's your Dalil for what you're saying? So it's amazing now how the situation is what it is. People just talk, don't mention any dalil, and it's accepted. To me, it's strange. Allah Mustaan.
Because back then it was like they was more so formatted to bring dalil, like which I was learning from schools and everything like that. You have to present.
You could not say anything in those circles. In the circles that you couldn't say anything except that you had dalil for what you're saying regarding the issue.
You know, you remind me of the days, man, when Muhammad Mufti used to cut our hair. Akal Hadith. Remember them days? Everybody was there, and everybody was on that porch.
Yeah, it was a lot more love back then.
Okay, so just to understand, I know that just to fast forward a little bit, I know that our beloved brother Ali Davis did an interview with us too, and I know since y'all came back, both of y'all had started something which is called Al-Thamaraat. I think can you explain to us what is Al-Thamaraat and what was the intended purpose behind it?
Al-Thamaraat. It started off with a website, and it was basically a spin-off of something we did earlier before that. Before that, it was myself, Ali, and Jamil, and we were all working on. I don't know if you remember Embody Islam. Embody Islam.
Okay.
But you know, just to say the least, things weren't. Let's just say organized the way that I thought they should be organized and the way that Ali thought they should be organized. So at that point, it became an individual project for Jamil. So we just fell back and, you know.
Can you explain to that? I don't want you to skip over that.
Mm-hmm.
How did it become an individual project?
Meaning we would all contribute to the website.
Okay.
We would all take articles, translate them, and put them on the website.
Okay.
I stopped. Ali stopped.
Jamil continued.
Jamil continued. He continued, and it basically became his own thing.
Okay.
Embody Islam.
No.
So we just fell back because I can't remember a lot. It was a lot. It was a whole lot. So the whole intent was not to go. It wasn't anything. It wasn't nothing personal at the time. We didn't have any problems at the time.
Yeah, it was just benefit.
I'm talking about between myself, Ali, and Jamil. We didn't have issues. We weren't arguing anything.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're working with people, there's a certain way. You know, everybody can't work together when it comes to certain things.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a lot of different things that, okay, well, I like this. It was just a lot of stuff that it wasn't worth the relationship. You know what I'm saying? It was easier just to let it go. It wasn't worth breaking up a relationship over translating some articles.
No. Yeah, exactly.
So we just, later on, not immediately, later on, we just start putting out little benefits. And the more we start putting out, we said, well, let's start, keeping them, because we would just put them out sporadically. Let's start keeping them all in one place. So we just came up with Al-Thamaraat, the website, just to try to keep them, archive them and stuff like that. No, to try to benefit, just some benefit. I mean, when you're there and you studying that much, man, and reading that many books, you come across a lot of benefit. It's a lot of stuff that you can't even record. It's a lot. So it's like a lot of times you come across stuff and you think about where you come from. You say, I know my people can benefit from this. Because some of that stuff, it hits home.
Yeah, exactly.
So we try to put out stuff that hits home. You know what I'm saying? That people could really, at least the people that we know we're in contact with, they can feel and they can really benefit from.
Okay. Well, since we're talking about our brother Jamil Finch, may Allah preserve him. I mean, what can you give us on why he kind of did what he did, kind of separated from Ali and kind of seemed to have turned and went, on that role where now you guys don't seem to be friends anymore, and he's calling you, Ikhwani, and attacking people's honor and stuff like that. Why did he go that route?
Why did he go that route? I mean, I could tell you what I think, Allahu A'lam. Just based on knowing Jamil and how close we all were. Looking at the time frame when Jamil, he graduated before both of us.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like the first from amongst us to leave. You understand? We were there. We were real close. We were like all neighbors, living in the same neighborhood, pray at the same masjid every day for years.
Yeah.
So we were real close. He was the first one to leave. During that time, it was a lot of arguing going on back here in the States. So at the time, it's like he's leaving. We're not leaving. So that means he's coming back by himself. And y'all got to understand that. We were known, myself, Ali, and Jamil were known as the students in Mecca. So we became like, I don't know how it happened, but we became an entity by ourselves. People refer to students in Mecca. And that's why there were some problems even back then, some problems that brothers had with us, the students in Mecca. So it's like now he's going back by himself. You know.
Yeah.
Everybody can't stand alone. Everybody doesn't want the pressure. Like, we rode to work. We worked together. We spoke a lot. We had a lot of conversations about how to deal with stuff, what's right, what's wrong. And I mean, I think personally, that's just my personal opinion. Allahu A'lam. Allah knows best. But he may have not wanted to be alone coming back and have to deal with everything alone. As his idea was, you can change people by being inside.
So he had the concept that you do more. You can do more within the actual organization than outside.
If you're a part of, what do you want to call it, the crew or the immediate brothers of giving dawah, if you're part of that team, then you can do more effect. You can have more of an effect on them and change them. That was his idea. So he would, and I mean, I didn't agree with that.
No.
I didn't knock him for it, but I didn't agree with it. I wouldn't do that. I didn't think that was the best way of going about that, but that was his idea.
But did he ever had a stance towards them, or anyway, since he was there?
What do you mean, since he was?
I mean, like since y'all was studying over there in Mecca, did he ever have his personal sentiments in terms against what the brothers were doing?
I mean, it was a time where he didn't. It was a time when he didn't see them to be. You know, he saw them to be extreme. There was a time when he saw them to be extreme. I remember he wanted to refute them. I told him, you know. Don't forget, you know.
Is it true that he considered them fanatics?
Yeah, you had told him to pretty much stop.
Yeah, I told him I didn't think it was a smart move. I didn't think it was a smart move for him. I didn't think it was a smart move for us, because at the time,
y'all wasn't together.
We are Mecca. If anything come out of Mecca, it's all of us. It's not coming
just
from Jamil Fitz.
Yeah,
that's how it was. Mm-hmm. So I didn't think it was a smart move. We weren't really involved in dawah like that. We're still in school. Nobody's giving classes. Nobody's giving durus. Like, if anything, I didn't think it was a smart move. I thought that was going to cause more harm.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I thought it would cause more harm.
Okay. So the incident that transpired between him and Ali, which was more than yourself, because alhamdulillah, I don't think, you already said what your piece to him. But the incident that transpired between him and Ali, where Ali had to, write that advice to him way back then, about 4 years ago. Can you shed any light on that? Would you be privy to that?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was about 4 years ago. It might have been longer than that. I mean, it wasn't, honestly, that was normal. That type of thing was normal between him and Jamil.
Okay.
I'm not really a paper guy. Like, I don't really go back and forth on paper like that. If I'd rather sit like this and talk like that.
Okay.
If we don't come to a conclusion, I go back and do what I need to get. We come back and do it again. Yeah. But him and Jamil, they go through that. That was like normal. That was a normal thing. That one right there that he put out was intensified, because that was towards the end. Yeah. But that was a normal thing. I'm talking about they might go back and forth for weeks.
But was the love still maintained?
It was in me. I mean, the later it got in our studies, the love was being lost. The closer it got when Jamil was leaving, when he was leaving, it was just, the relationship was just falling apart, because there was a lot going on. You gotta understand, people calling from America, calling Saudi, calling Mecca, calling Ali, calling Jamil's emails coming in. This one's getting refuted. This one's getting refuted. Why don't y'all go to Sheikh of the Beard? Why y'all doing this? Why y'all doing? It's a lot going on. Politics. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know the politics. The thing is, we're there. We're in our own world.
Mm-hmm.
We studying. We mind our business, taking care of families and stuff like that. The stuff that's going on, we only really know through emails and stuff. No. So you really need to know a whole story in order to really jump on something, to take a side.
No.
You know what
I'm
saying?
Have you and Ali ever taken it upon yourself to say, listen, let's go question some of the scholars that we are here with, that we study with on a regular basis, as a term to pertain to what we were receiving back home, because knowing we would have to go back home at one day. Did y'all ever confront any of the scholars?
What a lot of people don't know is the ulama. Most of the ulama that we know, the scholars that we know, they all know what's going on. They might not know, they know what's going on. They know the fitna between the brothers, not just in Philly. They know there's a fitna going on between the brothers, youth, young, wherever they are.
No.
They know. And when you ask them how to deal with it, and this is a reason why a lot of the brothers don't come out and say anything, because the scholars advise you not to say anything. Let them keep going, let them keep talking, teach the people. Y'all problem, that's what they say to us, y'all problem in America is ignorance, lack of knowledge. Mm-hmm. Teach the people. Don't worry about that. They're going to talk. Teach the people. And therefore you find brothers being quiet for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, until they get fed up, and then they just open their mouth. Then the person say, well, why you wait so long to say something? Like, he's taking the advice of the ulama.
Yeah.
More than one, not just one. Every scholar you go to and tell them about the fitna that's going on, they say seek knowledge. Busy yourself with knowledge. Busy the people with knowledge. That's what they say. Leave that alone and busy the people with knowledge. Not one. Like just about every person, every scholar that we spoke to him. I'm talking, we explain it in detail. We mention names. Not a bunch of general talk. We mention names. This sheikh said this and said got to do this. No, leave that off. Leave that off. Seek knowledge. Don't worry about what the sheikh said. Seek knowledge. Learn. When y'all go back, busy the people with knowledge. Don't worry about that. And therefore you find a lot of brothers, they don't come out and just start talking because taking the advice of the scholars. Busy the people with knowledge. A lot of that stuff is not beneficial. It's like soap opera stuff, for real. It's something to keep the people busy.
Keep busy, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So it's safe to say, from what I just heard from you, is that it seemed like the scholars didn't consider the fitna of Tahir Wyatt, Muhammad Munir, Al-Khalil Ingram, and these particular individuals to be something that y'all should concentrate y'all dawah on when y'all coming back and not dealing with y'all people. Because this is something that Jamil said towards Ali Davis. And Ali Davis asked me the question, it seemed as if, do you think this is greater than that? So this wasn't like that, right?
I remember even when we went to Sheikh Ahmed Bazmoul one day. Brothers were on Umrah. So Anwar, I think it was Anwar was there. So he asked Sheikh Ahmed about mentioning, he was going to start a class, I forget, on Tadween al-Sunnah, how the Sunnah was recorded. So he asked the Sheikh, should he mention the Mustashrikeen? Those are the people like the Kuffar, a lot of time the Kuffar who study Islam in order to refute Islam.
Orientalists.
Yeah, Orientalists, Orientalists. So Sheikh said, do the people know about that in the area you're in? Is that something that's spreading in your area? No. He said, no. He said, well, leave it off then. That's not something that's spreading in your area. Leave it off. That's not like, they expect the students to go back, man, and teach Islam. They don't expect you to go back and focus on this one and that one. Like Ahlul Bid'ah, like, you have to confirm, the people don't even know what Bid'ah is.
No,
they think Bid'ah is attached to an individual. They think this person is a Bid'ah.
Yeah.
Brothers right now, brothers think Shadid Muhammad is a Bid'ah. They think he's a walking Bid'ah.
Yeah, they do.
That's how bad it is.
You walk past him, now you a Bid'ah.
Yeah, so it's like a scary, spooky type of thing. Where
it just transfer
over to you.
He's a Bid'ah, where it's not.
It's contagious.
It's contagious. Bid'ah is contagious.
It's a sad thing because while you thinking that, the brother sitting next to you in the masjid he might be doing a Bid'ah. You'll never know because he's sitting next to you in the Salafi masjid, so you think it's cool.
It's cool.
You know what I'm saying? So
MashaAllah.
Their advice was to go back, and I heard Sheikh Fawzan talk numerous times. There's a lot of stories that could be spoken about. Benefits, seek knowledge. And the problem is we don't know what knowledge is. We don't know what knowledge is, and a lot of us don't respect education anyway. That's another problem. We don't respect education. A lot of us from the city don't respect education, period. So that's an issue in itself. So we don't respect education, we don't respect people who are educated.
That's why we're able to call them out their names.
So you have to disrespect people and look down on them, and degrees don't mean anything, and all that kind of talk. But a person say degrees don't mean anything. Even if you pull a YouTube with Sheikh Fawzan or somebody, Hafidullah, saying degrees on, all of the ulama in Saudi have degrees. All of them.
Yeah.
They all have degrees. So now the question is, if they all have degrees, and not just a master's, a doctorate. If they all have doctorate degrees, right? Doctoras, if they all have doctorate degrees, then why are we saying, or why would the Sheikh say that degrees don't matter? Why? He has a degree, 2 of them, a master's and a doctorate. Why would he come out and tell us that degrees don't matter? You got to understand the situation. And brothers who put that kind of stuff out and translate it, to me, it's a disservice to the general people because you're not giving them the other reason. Why would the Sheikh say that? That doesn't look right. He going to tell me degrees don't mean nothing, but he has 2 of them? Something's going on. Why would you say that without explaining the reason he would say something like that?
But let me ask you this. You're from Philadelphia, and then obviously it's the epicenter of the chaos, for the most part, in the West. What would be your advice to the general public that's listening, how to handle what's happening? Because we know it's heated up. Obviously, we know what Maktabah is doing. We obviously know the videos me and his brother are doing. And so we see what's happening. It's some of the positive effects is going a certain way. Inshallah ta'ala, Allah makes it easy on this whole ummah. I mean, what would the general advice you would give to the general person at this juncture of this chaos?
In the middle of all this,
Yeah.
it's powerful. That's a heavy question now.
Just give me your opinion. What you?
I mean, generally, man, we have to be sincere. And
No.
class, sincerity is an issue. It's an issue that I think a lot of us overlook. We have to be sincere. Right is right, wrong is wrong.
No.
Islam is not rocket science. Some
No.
stuff is basic. There's some basic things
No.
that have to be practiced. A lot of times we jump all the way in left field and we jump over the basics.
No.
And that's a problem itself, that in itself. And I mean, sincerity, number one.
No.
Number two, we have to be realistic. We have to be realistic. Nobody's perfect. So we have to question things. If a brother makes a mistake, does that mean he's finished? Like, people can't make mistakes in Islam?
Yeah. Everybody makes mistakes. It doesn't exist
People
a
can't make
perfect
mistakes
person.
in Islam. So
No.
we have to be realistic. We have to be sincere. The problem is that we trust people and we raise people to these levels where we put them so high, it's hard to come down. And we get stuck on personalities, literally get stuck there. So we start looking at people like they can't do anything wrong. It's impossible that they would do something like that. Well, we're all from Beni Adam. We all human beings. We all make mistakes.
No.
So it's possible. It's possible. If you read the biographies of the Salaf, you read some of the famous imams that we know and love, and you read some of their biographies, you'll find some stuff that they might have fell into. People way more knowledgeable than us.
No.
Positions higher than us. So we have to be sincere, number one. We have to be sincere. I think sincerity is an issue. We come from a society, an environment where a lot of showing off. We want a lot of attention. Attention seekers. We come from a lot of things that we have to rid that stuff. We have to remove that stuff from our mentality if we want to really move forward as Muslims. We got to look. Looking good is one thing, but the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, the Quran, hujjatan lak aw alayk.
No.
The Quran is going to be a proof for you or against you. Yawm al-Qiyamah. If you're acting by the Quran, it's going to be a proof for you. If you're not acting by the Quran, it's going to be a proof against you. So we have to be basic. We have to go back to the basics. Praying 5 times a day. Learning how to make wudu. Simple stuff that people think that's corny. Learning wudu is corny. Like, I already know that. Making sure your Al-Fatiha is correct. The Salat is not correct, your Al-Fatiha is not correct. But that's basic stuff.
No.
How is it that right now, we look at it right now, 20 years done went by, 15, 20 years done went by. We still don't have a school in this town. Still. We haven't produced a school. There are other schools, a few, but for the number of Muslims, we still don't have a school. How many of our children have finished the Quran? 15 years done went by. How many? Because we don't give importance to things that are important. Our priorities are mixed up. And we think that everything is just,
What they consider.
it's kind of like, what do you call it? Sporadic. We're all over the place. But that's not how the ulama learn, and that's not how the ulama teach. But when you go to that, it takes time, it takes patience. We have to be people that follow the usul, the basics of the religion, the basics. Allah Mustaan.
What is your advice for the people in terms of benefiting from the likes of Sheikh Tahir and Muhammad Munir?
Tahir Mufti?
Yeah.
Man.
What's your advice for the people in terms of benefiting from the brothers?
You should be asking them about me.
Yeah.
Not asking me about them. Huh?
No, I'm talking about advising the people in terms of benefiting from, because we know that it's been a lot of propaganda, a lot of information, a lot of accusations that have been hurled towards their way, and people have been deterred from actually benefiting from the likes of these brothers. And from what you witnessed yourself with Munir, the night, standing up at night, seeing them study and stuff like that, being serious about knowledge, what do you think in terms for our people? So, like, in terms of
I haven't met a scholar. When I was in Mecca, I haven't met a scholar that knew Tahir that didn't praise him. Every scholar that I met that knows Tahir, they praise him. Everyone that I met that knows Tahir, they praise him. I never met a scholar that didn't praise Tahir. Is he perfect? Nobody's perfect. Of course he's not perfect. But if we talking about seeking advice from the ulama, return our affairs, all that kind of talk, the ulama that I met, they all advised to benefit from him. Mm-hmm. Me and Tahir's relationship is not as tight as me and Mufti's relationship. Mufti is one of the first people I knew personally that could read Arabic. He was one of the first people that encouraged me. I said, man, if he's learning Arabic, not like that, but I said, man, he's actually learning Arabic. So I remember he was sitting in Masjid Salam. So he was doing some Arabic. So I'm like, you can read Arabic? So he's like, yeah. I'm like, SubhanAllah.
Yeah.
How long you been doing that? So he said about 18 months. That's what he said, about 18 months. It was back in like 01, maybe 02. So, and if anybody knows Mufti, they know. I mean, he didn't get that name. The name Mufti didn't just come up when people start refuting him.
Yeah.
Everybody that's refuting him probably gave him that name, Mufti. I mean,
we've been calling work since he was cutting our hair.
The work that he puts in, man, how serious he is, and anybody who's dealt with him, and anybody who's close to him will tell you that. So, I mean, how you not gonna benefit from it? They reached levels that nobody from our type of people have reached. Inner city people. Yeah. I don't know anybody who reached that level. Tahir teaching in the Haram. Who did that? It's from Germantown. Teaching in the Haram, the Prophet's Masjid. Next to Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Badr, Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Muslim, the other ulama teaching in the Haram, and he got a seat in the Haram. That's not something that's small. When we went to see Sheikh Khalid Radadi, and we told him that people were talking about Tahir, he was like, don't worry about that. We got 20, he said, we got 20 ulama back in Tahir. At the time, we didn't know that it was getting ready to come out that he was going to get a chair in the Haram. But they knew. They already knew. And any of the scholars that I met that know Tahir, they all praise him. Sheikh Wasi Allah, Sheikh Salih Suhaimi, Sheikh Khalid Adadi, Sheikh Abdul Muslim, he didn't give us any time that day. When we went to Medina and asked a couple of them about Tahir. And we went, it was detailed. It was myself, Ali, Farouk, I think Abu Isa was there, and there was about 5 or 6 of us. We rode to Medina, 4 hours. Because everybody's sending emails, y'all gotta go to Sheikh al-Bi, y'all ask about Tahir, what's going on? So we rode to Medina, and first we went to see Sheikh Abdul Muslim, al-Abad. But he wasn't feeling good. That was after Dhuhr. He wasn't feeling good, so he didn't give us any time. We hung around, then after Asr, we went to the house of Sheikh Khalid al-Dadi and sat with him for a long time. This was when the Master Rahma thing was out. He said, Tahir got to write a bayan. They wanted him to write a bayan about Ali Hassan Alawi. So Sheikh Khalid said, he doesn't have to write a bayan. That's not for my minhaj to make people do stuff. He said, you can't make a person, the Sheikh can't make a person write a bayan. He said, this is what he said, that's from the minhaj of the Sufiya. He said, the Sufis, their sheikhs make them do stuff. That's not for my minhaj, that's not for my way. And we sat there and we spoke for a long while. Then we went and saw Sheikh Salih Suhaimi. He had a class after Fajr. The next morning. And if I'm not mistaken, it was Farouk. He was talking. So after class, we sat in his class and we walked into his car because he was going to lead to travel. So he said, Sheikh, we're students from Al-Qura, we came from Mecca. We wanted to ask you about Tahir. And every time you mention Tahir's name around the ulama, they stop and look at you. They all know him. In the day, they all know him. So he said, what's up? He said, yeah, Tahir, leave him alone. He's good. Tahir's good. So he's walking. He walking to his car. Sheikh's blind. Sheikh Salih Sayyid, he's blind. I feel Allah. So the brother that's with him is walking him to his car. So he goes on, but Sheikh, they're saying that he has to write a bayan about this, that, and the third by Ali Hassan Halabi. He said, leave Tahir alone. So then he went on and still asked, he said, but Sheikh al-Abi said that Tahir has to write the bayan and he did it from Ali Hassan Halabi. So he stopped and said, he was going to get in the car. He turned and stopped and said, Tahir is from the best of the callers that y'all have. Leave him alone.
SubhanAllah.
He got in his car and pulled off and left us standing right there in that parking spot. That's what I know.
And also, you was witness to the dissertation that Tahir presented for his master's, right? How did that have effect on you? So maybe we can live through that, that moment.
I mean, actually, I have it on tape. The audio.
He was actually there when he.
Yeah, this before videos was. Yeah. But Sheikh Abdul Razak was there. He was crying. It was amazing, man. It's amazing. To belittle something like that, to me, is a disservice to the Muslims in this country. To belittle a person getting their master's degree from Jamia Islamiyah and act like that's not a big deal,
SubhanAllah,
is a disservice to the Muslims in America, to me, in my opinion. To act like that doesn't mean anything. When you got ulama out there, it means something to them. Sheikh Abdul Razak was crying. He said he's from us. We watched him grow up here. He praised them. He was at the thing crying. It meant something to all of them scholars that we praise. It means something. But you're gonna come back here.
Our people turned
and tell the people here that it doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Like, where does that come from? No. I mean, the people who know Mufti, they know Mufti. They know Mufti's a serious person about learning and stuff like that. I mean,
Barakallahu feek, Sheikh. Barakallahu feek. what would be overall like your your general rights in terms of, you already gave us some advice for our people, for our sincerity and things like that, but like in terms of like at least getting us back on the right track, like you said earlier about the education, the lack of respect for education and those who are educated, what would be some of the things you have learned from your times of traveling abroad that would get us back on the road of respecting people who are educated and in turn, learning and stuff like that? Some encouragement.
I mean, number one, we have to understand Islam in America is still new, fairly new. So a lot of things, basics, we don't have. And this is why you find a lot of times, you find a lot of foreigners, they look at black Muslims in the city, what they look at is funny. So, and you think that they're looking because some basic stuff y'all don't know. But y'all always in left field on stuff that's like level 6, and you don't know level 1. So they look at you a little funny sometimes, and I learned that there. I learned that going there thinking I knew everything because I studied Sifat Salat and Nabi, the Prophet's Prayer described by Sheikh Al-Albani, rahimahullah. I went through that, so I went there thinking, and then I found the more I sat and learned, the more I found out I didn't know. And the more I found out I didn't know, the more I said, let me just be quiet. Let me just stop where I'm at, because from right now, I might oppress somebody based on my ignorance. I might have said something about somebody due to my ignorance, thinking I know what I'm talking about. I'm ignorant, don't know what I'm talking about, and I end up oppressing somebody. So learning, which, as I said, the problem is a lot of us don't respect education. We didn't come up respecting education. We didn't come up respecting the smartest person in the classroom.
Made jokes about it.
Maybe we laughed at him, right? We laughed. He's a nerd. He's funny dressing. Nobody really giving no attention. So we didn't respect education in the first place, where Islam doesn't call it that. Islam doesn't call it that type of behavior. Iqra, read, ponder over the Quran. All those ayat that talk about pondering and reflecting and all that kind of stuff. We have to implement Islam instead of dressing up, putting it on shirts and hats and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's cool, but I mean, it doesn't make a difference if you're not implementing.
No, it doesn't.
It might be a proof against you.
It might be
like the Salafi logos, the
all
Superman sign, all
logos,
that stuff.
Islam on the shirt, on the hat, Edib on the shirt. You got Edib written on your shirt, but you on the corner. We're corner boys. Like, it don't, you know what I'm saying? So we got to be careful that Allah could, Allah could really, it could be a test. It could be a fitna for us that we're not using our resources. What other city in the country has as many students that went overseas and studied like here? But look at the fitna that it produced. Look at the outcome. What type of serious effect have we had on the city of Philadelphia?
Other than cosmetically.
Other than cosmetics, you can see stuff, and other than people having a bad taste in their mouth when you say the word Salafi. We gotta be realistic. Some good has been done, but we have to be realistic. Stuff has to be, we have to implement instead of just talking.
Well, the last question, what would you say about the advice you would give people about the Maktabah Taymiyyah, about benefiting from the Maktabah?
I know it's small.
We know,
Wallahi, man, the Maktabah is jade. But anything that's going to bring people off of the street and get people to try to learn is khair. It's khair. I mean, there's no reason for brothers, I'm going to say brothers specifically, there's no reason that brothers should not read Arabic. There's no reason. There's Arabic classes all over the city.
Yeah.
But the problem is people don't respect this. People don't respect libraries and the English libraries.
They don't.
They don't. We don't respect education. That's a problem. That's a problem that we don't respect education. So, Arabic library, we have to respect education. That's a problem, man. That's like one of the main issues that we're dealing with. Learn, I look good. That's it. Kufi, thobe, hands above my, the look. And I'm talking specifically to the people that we're dealing with. You got the look, sisters, all black, and all that, but the behavior is way out of pocket. It's so bad. It's so bad. I taught at the camp one summer. So I'm teaching the kids Al-Fatiha, Quran. We did some Arabic. We're going to do some Quran. Read Al-Fatiha. These are kids. I know some of their fathers. Read Al-Fatiha. What's that? These boys are 10, 11, 12 years old. Allah Mustaan. Tayyib, who's your favorite Quran reciter? I asked a kid, who's your favorite Quran reciter? He told me Hassan Somali. This is the reality of the situation that's going on. We have to go back to the basics, basic. If we implement the basics, Allah open the door for us. Jumping around haphazardly and all that, just doing anything is chaos. And that's why we had the situation we have in the city. It's chaos.
It's chaotic. Yeah.
None of the ulama, all of the ulama that I've spoken to in that person, or that I've heard with my own ears, they say busy the people with knowledge, learning. How many people come to classes and sit down? Allah understand. So we have to go back. We have to go back to the basics. This is like fundamental. We used to say reading is fundamental.
It's fundamental. Yeah.
Huh? But you got to understand, a lot of the people we're dealing with, man, in this society, don't come from, a strong educational background, secularly, middle school, high school. So we're dealing with that, and we just got to know that when dealing with people. But at the same time, we have to encourage people to, it's okay to be smart. Not like when we were coming up. It's okay to be smart. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to be smart.
That's scary, man.
It's basic. It sounds crazy, but the type of people that we're dealing with, at least here, I can't speak about everywhere else. I'm talking about in Philly. It's okay. It's okay to have knowledge about something. It's all right to be smart. We're not gonna look at you funny no more. All the scholars that we quote every day, all of them have doctorate degrees.
Yeah.
They have doctorates. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? We got to break out of that shell of being shy to learn. You know what I'm saying? Ignorance is not something that's praiseworthy. It's not decent, something that's good to be ignorant.
No, it's not.
It's not something that's good to be ignorant. We should want to learn and further ourselves and better our Islam. And bettering our Islam is only going to come through learning. Allah.
Barakallahu feek. We'd like to thank our esteemed guest and brother, alhamdulillah, Saajid Abu Saajid. Also, he do teach on...
go back, you know what I'm saying? Old school.
He teach up there, that's 47th, 49th Street. 41st Street.
In Gerard.
Yeah. 41st Street in Gerard. Alhamdulillah, you have classes up there, as well as sometimes he might put appearance up there at Hoffman. 47th and Hoffman. 58th and Hoffman, mashallah, which is Master Wasatiyah. He also have an Arabic program. He's currently helping out at Masjid Furqan for the children. For those who don't have anywhere, please bring your children up there with Muhammad Musa, Ali Davis, and our brother here teaching, Al-Fatiha, as he was talking about, as well as the basic reading in Arabic. And we ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to place barakah in his life and his family life, and all those who are watching, inshallah. And Jazakallah Khaim, stay tuned, inshallah, for the next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.